Hey guys, Brian Osborne here from Answers in Genesis. We're here in the Creation Museum at the Cain and Abel exhibit, as you can see. Talking about the time that, of course, Cain betrayed his brother and killed Abel essentially out of jealousy and different issues, right? You guys know the account very, very well. This is really the first account in human history of one human betraying another so violently. I want to use this scene to segue to our lesson today, which is Jesus' arrest. He is betrayed by his disciples. He's betrayed by Judas, yes, but also by all the disciples and by Peter in a very distinct way. And we're talking about that betrayal and what we can learn from that, especially about Jesus. So as we look at the account, we see that we transitioned from the last lesson. He just did the Lord's Supper, actually the Passover meal, instituting the Lord's Supper with the disciples. They're walking through the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas has gone to betray Jesus. On the way there, Jesus tells the disciples they will leave him. They will flee. In a sense, they will betray him. And of course, they all deny it. But Peter most vehemently denies it. He says, Lord, even if they all depart from you, I will never leave you. I will never betray you. If they even have to die with you. There's a lot of bravado. It seems like he's leaning on his own strength, right? And then we know that from the account that Jesus tells them, well, you all will. And he tells Peter, you'll betray me 3 times before the rooster crows. And so Jesus, being God, knows exactly what's going to take place. And that's the key point I want to kind of bring into this lesson. You see, if you've ever been betrayed before, like Jesus is about to be betrayed in this lesson, we know betrayal doesn't feel good. It hurts. It's painful for numerous reasons. And I'm sure it was painful to Jesus. But his betrayal is a bit different in one sense, and that is he knows it's coming because he is God. He knows the disciples will flee. He knows Judas will betray him. He knows it's coming because he knows all things, and actually he is in control of all things as God. We got to keep that in mind as we go through this. So we know that Judas comes with the band of soldiers to betray Jesus. He comes to the Garden of Gethsemane. He knew Jesus would be there. That's where Jesus tended to go with the disciples. He leads them there, betrays Jesus with a kiss. And there's a detail in this lesson, in this account, that I'd love to point out that we see in the book of John. When the soldiers came to arrest Jesus, he asked them, who are you here for? And when they said, Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus responded to them, I am. Now your English Bible say, I am he, for clarification, but the original language says literally, I am. He declared the name of God to them. And what did they do? They fell back and they fell down. Now we don't know exactly what took place there, but it seems that Jesus is displaying his authority. He declares his name, he is God, and they fall down. Why? Because he is God. And I mention that just to remind us that Jesus is not a victim. Yes, he's being betrayed, but he knows it. He says these things must take place to fulfill prophecy. He's in control of all this to accomplish God's will of redemption for mankind, for God's glory. And so we see this ultimate betrayal by Judas. Jesus goes with them. The disciples definitely scatter. We see Peter follow behind, right, and end up in the courthouse of the high priest Caiaphas, kind of waiting to see what takes place. And as we remember very well, Peter, while he is there in the courtyard, rather, of the high priest, he is confronted by a servant girl, no less, a couple of times. And another occasion, you were with Jesus, right? And 3 times, Peter denies knowing Jesus. On the 3rd time, he actually does cursing, right, and swearing to declare he does not know Jesus. And then it says, the rooster crows, Jesus looks at Peter, Peter breaks, he weeps, and he runs away, right? And so we see there that Peter, even though for all his bravado, he was depending on his own strength, he still betrayed Jesus. He still denied him. But we see sweet redemption later on where there is forgiveness and mercy from Jesus towards Peter as Peter repents from that, and Jesus, in a sense, reinstates him. We'll see that in a different lesson. But we look at that event. First, keep in mind again, Jesus is in control. He's God. And then also this, we tend to look at them, look at Judas, look at Peter, look at the disciples and think, how could they betray Jesus like that? How could they deny him? But in truth, we should be asking ourselves, how can we deny Jesus as we do, probably on a daily basis? How many times do we betray Jesus daily by disobeying him, not trusting him, depending on our own strength? And we all do it in different ways in our sin. And we need to realize that, like Peter, We should not be trying to walk in our own strength. We need God's help through the power of the Spirit to walk in such a way that glorifies Him, where we don't deny Him through sin, but we have to have His Spirit to empower us to do that. We walk in His strength for His glory. So as we think about all these things in this lesson, let's be thankful that Jesus is God. He is in control. He endured the betrayal of Judas, of the disciples, of all of creation against the Creator to win salvation for us and for His glory. What an awesome thing. You guys have a great day. We'll talk later on. See ya.